Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Looks like all familiar faces, but anyway, for those watching at home, this is being televised. So those watching at home, my name is Zach Goulden. I am the town planner for the town of Emmitsburg, and this is our fourth sign meeting. Next, we're going to be going to the Board of Commissioners in June to present these last few slides, and then hopefully it goes to the Planning Commission in July, and we're hoping that it gets adopted in August. That's probably going to be the fastest route. So please note, in no way does the town or its employees endorse any business or message depicted in the sign examples shown in this or any presentation. We're going to kind of do this meeting as a community charrette, so I'm going to do each section, and then I'm going to ask for comments or questions, and please feel free to chime in then. Since people are listening at home, I would appreciate if you came up to the mic for any comments and questions, just so people can hear what's going on. So staff suggests repealing Title 15, Building and Construction, Chapter 1516 Sign Code, and replacing it with Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 17.38 Sign Code. This will allow the Planning Commission to review and comment on the proposed amendment, and it will allow businesses and residents the opportunity to apply for zoning variances if their property has unique hardships not recognized by the sign code. Currently, there's no such way for businesses or residents to make a variance. In addition, having the sign code in the zoning ordinance is common practice in local governments around the country. So why are we proposing a sign code? Town staff and the mayor have attended various Maryland Municipal League conferences in which dozens of professionals have recommended municipalities update their sign ordinance in order to include modern-day signage and ensure compliance with recent Supreme Court cases, more in particular Reed versus Gilbert. In this court case, the U.S. Supreme Court found that content-based sign regulations violate the First Amendment. The town's current sign code was originally passed in 1998 with small amendments over the years. Even if we do not violate this Supreme Court case, the sign ordinance is over 21 years old and does not regulate modern-day signage. If the town does not clearly prohibit or regulate a particular sign or sign element, it is therefore permitted. Staff is trying to protect the town from future problems and litigation. This amendment hopefully does not leave room for discrepancy or doubt. Everything is spelled out very black and white, and it is a little long, but there's a reason for that. The amendment includes hopefully every known sign available to date. The town's attorney has reviewed the proposed amendment and has approved its content. So, source of the amendment, I first reached out to Jim Peck, who is a research specialist for the Maryland Municipal League, and asked for advice and sample ordinances. Mr. Peck provided me 19 sample ordinances from around the country, which he believes to be the best. His number one recommendation was crafted by the American Planning Association. I researched each of the 19 ordinances and other municipalities throughout Frederick County before choosing the APA version. The Maryland Municipal League and American Planning Association have an army of dedicated lawyers and staff to research different issues and determine what is legal and what is working for communities all across the nation. Staff highly respects and recommends their work, as do thousands of other municipalities, planners, and professionals. The American Planning Association has over 40,000 members from every state and more than 70 countries. I modified the APA sample ordinance to fit our town's zoning district. I also made size adjustments based on the historical nature of our town and recommendations from the 2015 Town Comprehensive Plan. The purpose of this community outreach meeting is to explain the proposed sign amendment as it relates to the neighborhood commercial, general commercial, industrial park, and office research and industrial zoning districts. I will present each applicable section, and then I'll open up the floor to public comments and questions. Comments will be recorded and presented to the Board of Commissioners. Applicability, this is the first section, section 10. So this is any sign erected, altered, or maintained after the effective date of this ordinance shall conform to the new regulations. Most importantly, any signs that are legally in existence today or before, hopefully when it passes in August, will be grandfathered in. Are there any comments or questions on this section? Mr. Slaughter, can you please come to the podium every time you have a question, because people are having a hard time hearing.
Wayne Slaughter, EBPA. Question with regard to any exceptions to what you just said with regard to grandfathering in. All signs will be grandfathered in?
All legally conforming signs. So what legally conforming means is ones that have been in existence before the current zoning ordinance was passed. For an example, the Odd House is over 21 years old, or the age of our current sign code, so they would be grandfathered in. Other businesses such as that, and ones that have permits from the town for their signs.
All right, and what kind of exceptions are possible with regard to these issues? Can somebody come in and petition to get an exception to that and get theirs grandfathered in regardless?
Yes, they can come in before the new sign ordinance passes and get a permit, and they would be grandfathered in then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slaughter. So next section is section 20, the purpose of intent. So signs perform an important function in identifying and promoting properties, businesses, services, residences, events, and other matters of interest to the public. The intent of this ordinance is to regulate all signs within the town to ensure that they are appropriate for their respective uses, in keeping with the appearance of the affected property and surrounding environment, and protective of the public health, safety, and general welfare. By A, setting standards and providing uniform, scientifically based controls that permit reasonable use of signs and preserve the character of the town. B, promoting the erection of signs in such numbers, sizes, designs, illumination, and locations as may create a hazard to pedestrians and motorists. C, avoiding excessive conflicts from large or multiple signs so that permitted signs provide adequate identification and direction while minimizing clutter, unsightliness, and confusion. D, establishing a process for the review and approval of sign permit applications. And E, ensuring sign design that builds on the traditional town image and visual environment the town seeks to promote. And I promise I'm not going to read word for word every single section. So are there any comments or questions on this section? So definitions. I'm not going to, this covers 7 pages and is needed in order to defend the ordinance. Unless someone has specific questions on the definitions, we're going to skip over this. Hearing none. Section 40, prohibited signs. So these are the signs that staff is proposing to be prohibited in all zoning districts. So we're going to have some pictures on the screen now. So these are abandoned signs. These are signs that have not identified or advertised a current business, service, owner, product, or activity for a period of at least 180 days in the case of an off-premise sign, or at least 360 days in the case of an on-premise sign. Snipe signs. These are signs that are tacked, nailed, pasted, posted, glued, or otherwise attached to trees, poles, stakes, fences, public benches, streetlights, or other objects, or placed on any public property or in the public right-of-way or any private property without the permission of the property owner. I thought it was funny. Frederick County actually right now is doing a promotion where they're asking people to remove these. It's kind of playing like a little game. Go along the side of the roads and please remove them and pitch them, because they are all illegal if you see these. Signs shall only be attached to utility poles in conformance with state and utility regulations. Marquee signs. So if you've been to Gettysburg, this is the closest one I can think of. They have one at the Majestic Theater. So vehicular signs. This regulation does not include the use of business logos, identification, or advertising on vehicles primarily and actively used for business purposes and or personal transportation. So basically, the sign on the door there would be legal. That'd be okay. But the billboard sign on the back of the pickup truck would not be legal. Mechanical movement, including revolving signs. These have parts that physically move rather than merely appear to move, as might be found in a digital display. Pennant strings and streamers. Animated flashing or signs that scroll or flash text or graphics, as the open sign is currently doing. Inflatable devices or balloon signs, with the exception of balloons used in a temporarily non-commercial situation. So, for an example, on the left, the big gorilla would be prohibited, and if you're using on the right, if you're using some kind of inflatable sign for Christmas decorations or other Easter, Halloween, they would be allowed. Reflective signs or signs containing mirrors. Interactive sign, this is a newer type of sign, which are electronic or animated signs that react to the behavior or electronic signals of the motor vehicle drivers. Signs incorporating beacon, which is on your left, or festoon lighting, which is on your right. So neon signs, staff has been talking about this, and we are considering changing this due to a lot of businesses asking us to keep this. So we may change this in the near future. Basically, neon signs. So let's do a quick non-binding poll. I'm going to do that right now. So, show of hands, and if you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Show of hands, who would like to see neon signs stay on the prohibited list, so you not allow them in town? Show of hands, who would like to see neon signs allowed in town? And show of hands, it does not matter. Okay. There'll be more to come with this. We're thinking about allowing one or two at a minimum or a maximum square footage of 2 or 4 square feet. I have to talk to the mayor more about this. So roof signs. And at last, any sign that imitates, resembles, interferes with, or obstructs official traffic lights, signs, or signals. Signs which prevent free ingress or egress from any door, window, fire escape, or that prevent access from one part of the roof or to another. No sign other than a safety sign shall be attached to a standpipe, which provides water for firefighters or fire escapes. Signs that emit smoke, visible vapors, particulate matter, sound, odor, or contain open flames. Any banner or sign of any type suspended across a public street without the permission of the property owner and the road. Signs erected without the permission of the property owner, with the exception of those authorized or required by local, state, or federal governments. Signs that exhibit statements, words, or pictures of obscene or pornographic subjects as determined by the town, or any signs that promote illegal activity. So this is the current list of prohibited signs in the sign code, such as billboards, electronic or variable message signs, portable trailer or freestanding signs, marquees, animated signs, roof, snipe, flashing illuminated, signs that interfere with traffic visibility, damaged signs, abandoned signs. And please note, if it does not specifically prohibit or regulate in the code, it is permitted. So for an extreme example, if someone wanted to put an open flame sign right now, there's not much I can do about it or anyone else in the town. So are there any questions or comments on the prohibited sign section? Yes, sir.
Tim Bieber. I see that electronic variable message signs are currently prohibited.
Correct.
I'm not sure in reading the prohibited signs whether that's considered a prohibited sign on the new ordinance. I know you have about flashing and scrolling.
Mm-hmm. We're just about to get to the illuminated section.
Okay.
And for this district, they would be permitted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, for the next section, section 50. These are signs exempt from permit requirements. So these are signs permitted in all zoning districts without having to come into the town and get a permit. Official traffic signs. Government regulatory signs. These are signs erected by government agencies. Holiday and seasonal decorations. Personal expression signs of any type including flags, provided that they do not exceed 3 square feet in area per side, are non-commercial in nature, and are not illuminated. Address signs, since we are talking non-residential district today, these shall not exceed 5 square feet in area, and these show up to 2 signs stating address, number, and or number of occupants on the premises, and do not include any commercial advertising. Private drive signs, so you can have one sign per driveway entrance, not to exceed 2 square feet in area. Security and warning signs, these limitations shall not apply to the posting of conventional no trespassing signs in accordance with state law. For non-residential districts, you can have a maximum of 1 large sign per property, not to exceed 5 square feet in area. All other posted security and warning signs may not exceed 2 square feet. Flags, so the location, flags, and flagpoles shall not be located within any right-of-way. Height, flags shall not exceed the height of 30 feet. Let's see. Number, no more than 2 flags per lot in residential districts and no more than 3 flags per lot in non-commercial districts. Flags containing commercial messages may be used as permitted freestanding or projecting signs, and if so used, the area of the flag shall be included in and limited by the computation of allowable area for signs on the property. Vending machine signs. Memorial, public monument, or historical identification signs erected by the town, including plaque signs up to 5 square feet in area. Incidental signs, so including incidental window signs that are signs that display general site information, instructions, directives, or restrictions that primarily oriented to pedestrians and motor vehicle operators who have entered a property from a public street. These signs shall not contain any commercial advertising. Directional signs, provided that they do not contain any commercial messaging. For the area, no single directional sign shall exceed 4 square feet in area. Height, directional signs shall have a maximum height of 5 feet. And illumination, they shall be non-illuminated. Art and murals. Signs inside a building or other enclosed facility which are not meant to be viewed from the outside and are located greater than 3 feet from the window. Signs or emblems of a religious, civil, historical, or educational organization that do not exceed 5 square feet in area. So these are your crosses, your Stars of David, and other religions. Legal notices, signs which are permanent architectural features of the building or structure existing at the time of adoption of this ordinance. Signs advertising the variety of crop growing in a field, and these shall be removed after the growing season. And temporary signs in accordance with Section 1738-100. And we're also considering adding limited duration signs to this list. For the current exemptions, the only thing that's exempt are on-premise temporary signs. Are there any questions or comments on the exempt sign section? Hearing none. So general regulations, section 60. This section includes specific information on location, material, and construction, area, height, spacing, and most importantly, which we're going to talk about in depth here in a second, sign illumination.
Sorry, it's on the directional signs.
Going back to the directional, okay.
Yeah, going back to Pastor Engel, Emmitsburg Community Baptist Church. We have a sign which is a removable sign, and it is a directional sign, but it also has our logo on it, and it has the name of our church.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an exempt sign?
No, because it has commercial messaging on it.
What commercial message?
Your name of your church. That's a commercial message.
Okay.
So you would be considered a freestanding sign.
It's a good thing I got a permit then.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So where was I? Let's see here. Okay, so please turn to page 14 of the proposed amendment. So if you don't have one, it looks like this. So why do we want to start regulating illumination? And that's been one of the big questions, and this is one of the reasons why the ordinance is a little bit lengthy. Let me use a few examples. So let's say that the ABC company is the developer for Brookfield. Homes are slowly selling, but they want to sell the rest of the lots in the next year. In order to do this, they want to install the biggest and brightest sign that they can get to attract more buyers. The current code would allow them to install a 50 square foot internally lit sign. They could legally install the biggest, brightest bulbs that money can buy and have it lit all day and all night long. The new sign code would set daytime and nighttime brightness standards and set hours of illumination from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. or half hour past the closing, whichever is later. Now, if there is a business open 24 hours a day, they would be allowed to have their signs lit 24 hours a day. So this provision would protect residents from obnoxious light pollution that they are currently vulnerable to. Let's do one more example. Let's say that I live in Pembroke. My neighbor is adding a new garage, and the ABC contractor is doing the work. ABC contractor is currently allowed to install a 24 square foot internally lit sign in my neighbor's yard promoting his or her business, while the construction of the garage is taking place. This sign may be lit all day and all night long. The new sign code would not allow illuminated temporary signs, so the contractor would only be allowed a 6 square foot sign, non-illuminated. So we could spend a few meetings going over situations like these, which will be avoided if the new amendment is passed. So here we're looking at page 14 of the proposed ordinance. This is the illumination summary table, which shows where illuminated signs are permitted and what types of illuminated signs are permitted in each zoning district. First, let's talk about the 4 types of illuminated signs that include internally illuminated signs, message center, external illuminated, digital display. And as you can see from this table, staff is currently recommending allowing all types of illuminated signs in the zoning districts that we are here to discuss today. So let's talk about each type of sign now. So as you can see on the screen, this is an internal illuminated sign. These have a light source that is concealed or contained within the sign and becomes visible in darkness through a translucent surface. Internally illuminated signs must be static in intensity and in color, so it must be just static and not be flashing. If approved by the board, internal illuminated signs would be permitted in the commercial and industrial zones. And just for an example of sign types, as you can see on the left, the top and the bottom, they are wall signs. On the right, that's a projecting sign, and the bottom right, that is a freestanding sign. Yes. Please. I wish we had a microphone. Yeah.
Wayne Slaughter, EBPA. Can you just talk about any limitations on projection off the side of the building as long as we're looking at one of these signs?
Sure. Let me go to that section here real quick, which is page 30. Okay, so projecting signs. These are the signs that project off of the side of your building or in the front. So for these commercial districts, you can have 1 per ground floor establishment plus 1 per building entrance serving tenants without a ground floor entrance. The size is based on a calculation, excuse me, 1.5 square feet per linear foot of building frontage facing a public street or parking lot, but they are subject to maximum size limitations based on sign type. So for this sign type, they can be a maximum of 20 square feet in area for this district, and the maximum height is the eave line, and an eave line is basically where your gutters are on your building. Is that good? Excellent. Great. Okay, next. So these are message center signs. These are a type of illumination changeable copy sign that consists of electronically changing alphanumeric text often used for gas price display signs and athletic scoreboards. As written, these types of signs would be permitted in the commercial and industrial zones. And for description here, all those signs are freestanding signs. External illuminated signs have an artificial light located away from the sign, which lights the sign, the source of which may or may not be visible to persons viewing the sign from any street, sidewalk, or adjacent property. Where permitted, are subject to the following regulations. The source of the light must be concealed by translucent covers, and they shall be steady, stationary light source, shielded, and directed solely at the sign. The light must be static in color. And as written, external illuminated signs would be permitted in the commercial and industrial zones. The last type of sign are your digital display signs. So this is the portion of a sign message made up of internally illuminated components capable of changing the message periodically. Digital displays may include but are not limited to LCD, LED, or plasma displays. As written, digital display signs would be permitted in the commercial and industrial zones. And they are all freestanding signs. So hours of operation, as I stated, signs may be illuminated from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. or a half hour past the close of business. Signs shall be set on an automatic timer to ensure compliance with this section. Message center and digital display signs are subject to the following brightness standards. So during the daylight hours between sunrise and sunset, luminance shall be no greater than 5,000 nits, which you can see 5,000 nits is on the bottom right-hand side there. At all other times, luminance shall be no greater than 250 nits. So a luminance is a photometric measure of a luminous intensity per unit area of light traveling in a given direction. It describes the amount of light that passes through, is emitted, or reflected from a particular area and falls within a given solid angle. So the standard unit of luminance is a nit, so that's what the nit means. For the current code for illumination, no intermittent or flashing illumination. Internal lit signs are allowed in all zones except for the village zone, where they are only allowed one lit sign per street frontage. Electronic/variable message signs are not allowed, and no other illumination standards exist. So are there any comments or questions on illumination? Hearing none, we'll keep going. Making good time today. So section 70, these are on-premise signs. These are signs whose message and display relate to an individual business, profession, product, service, event, point of view, or other commercial or non-commercial activity sold, offered, or conducted on the same property where the sign is located. So just a few things here for this section. It's not a whole lot in this section. No portion of a wall sign shall be mounted less than 8 feet above the finished grade or extend out more than 12 inches from the building wall of which it is affixed. A canopy or awning sign must be centered within or over architectural elements such as windows and doors. No portion of a projecting sign shall project more than 4 feet from the face of the building. Incidental window signs are excluded in the area of calculations for windows. The lowest edge of any freestanding pole sign shall be less than 4 feet or greater than 7 feet above grade. Manual changeable copy signs are permitted only when integrated into a freestanding wall or portable sign. There aren't that much difference in our current code to this. So are there any questions on this section? Hearing none. Section 80, this is going to be a new section. These are off-premise signs. Any outdoor sign whose message directs attention to a specific business, product, service, event, or activity, or other commercial or non-commercial activity, or contains a non-commercial message about something that is not sold, produced, manufactured, furnished, or conducted on the premise which the sign is located. These are also known as third-party signs, billboards, or other or outdoor advertising. The current proposal is geared towards larger billboards in the general commercial, so B2, office, research, and industrial park, IP, and industrial park, ORI zoning districts. So they wouldn't be allowed in any other districts. I also am going to add a paragraph in this section that states that smaller off-premise signs are allowed in other zoning districts. However, they must abide by that specific zoning district size, type, and illumination standards. So in other words, billboards would not be allowed in every zoning district, but smaller off-premise signs would be. This would allow businesses located on back streets to add signs on streets such as Main Street and Seton Avenue to take advantage of all the traffic and visibility on the main roads. So they would have to abide by that specific regulation. The current code, off-premise signs are not allowed. Now, some people have asked, well, we do have a billboard on North Seton Avenue, and that's because that has been around before the current sign ordinance was enacted. Are there any questions on off-premise signs? Hearing none. Limited duration signs. So we are considering adding this to the exempt section. More to come in the following weeks. So this is section 90. These are non-permanent signs that are displayed on private property for more than 30 days, but are not intended to be displayed for an indefinite period. So you can see such as grand openings, help wanted. So non-residential districts are permitted to the following: 1 large limited duration sign per property. 2, if the property is 5 acres or more, they shall have a maximum area of 16 square feet and a max height of 8 feet. Then they can also have 1 small limited duration sign per property. 2, if it's over 5 acres, they shall have a maximum area of 6 square feet. So limited duration signs may be freestanding, which is on your right, window, which is on your left, or wall signs, which is in the middle. Illumination of these signs is prohibited. So the current code, limited duration signs are regulated as temporary signs. Business signs may only be placed on the property which the business is located. It shall be attached to the first story only. 32 square feet maximum, and most importantly, the sign area is cumulative. So if you are maxed out, for an example, since we're talking about commercial districts, if you have a maximum of 50 square feet right now, you could not put a temporary or limited duration sign on your property. In the new code, you would be allowed to. So are there any questions on limited duration signs or comments? Hearing none, we'll go on. Section 100, temporary signs. So these are a type of non-permanent signs that are located on private property that can be displayed for no more than 30 consecutive days at one time. These, for an example, these are like yard sale signs. The date of erection of a temporary sign must be written on the lower right-hand corner of the sign. So if someone forgets to take their sign up, we can see on the sign, staff can see and pull it out and throw it away if it's been there for longer 30 days. Temporary signs are exempt from the permit requirements. However, they still must comply with the requirements of this section. So for non-residential districts, they are permitted 1 large temporary sign per property. 2, if the property is over 5 acres, and a maximum area of 32 square feet for banners and 16 square feet for all other signs. There's a maximum height of 24 feet for banners and 8 for all other types. 1 small temporary sign per property, so the small signs. 2, if the property is over 5 acres, they shall have a maximum area of 6 square feet and a maximum height of 6 feet. Temporary signs may be freestanding, window, wall signs, or banners. Illumination of these types of signs is prohibited. So in the current code, temporary signs, businesses signs may only be placed on the property which the business is located. attached to the first story only, maximum square footage of 32, and again, most importantly, sign area is cumulative, so you are prohibited to have a temporary sign currently if you are maxed out in your square footage. In the new code, you would be allowed to have a temporary sign in addition to your other signage. Are there any comments or questions on the temporary section? Hearing none, we'll keep going. This is a new section. Currently, the portable signs are prohibited. So this is section 110. So these are signs designed to be transported or moved and are not permanently attached to the ground, a building, or other structure. Illumination of these signs is prohibited. So hours of display, portable signs shall not be displayed on premises before 6 a.m. and shall be removed each day at or before 10 p.m. However, all portable signs must be taken in during hours of non-operation of the business and during inclement weather. So one sandwich board sign is permitted per establishment, and they shall have a maximum square area of 7 square feet and a maximum height of 3.5 square feet, or 3.5 feet. So there are two types of portable signs, which you can see on the screen here. The first is a sandwich board sign, like on the right here. This is a type of freestanding portable temporary sign consisting of two faces connected and hinged at the top and whose message is targeted to pedestrians. These are also known as an A-frame sign. And there's also vehicular signs. These are signs affixed to the vehicle in such a manner that the sign is used primarily as a stationary advertisement for the business on which the vehicle sits or is otherwise not incidental to the vehicle's primary purpose. Again, the one on the top would be allowed, and the one on the bottom on the pickup bed would not be permitted. So the current code, which we already discussed, they are not allowed. Are there any comments or questions on this section? Hearing none, we'll go to a new section. Section 120. These are called street pole banners. These are banners suspended above a public sidewalk and attached to a single street pole. These signs shall not contain any commercial advertising. Illumination of any street pole banner is prohibited. They shall have a maximum area of 12.5 square feet and a maximum width of 3 feet. And you're allowed up to 2 banners per street pole. So there's been a lot of questions asking if different operations, businesses, events can suspend banners across Main Street, South Seton Street, and the answer is ultimately no. Reason being is because Main Street and Seton Avenues are state-owned streets, and you would have to gain the permission of to put these banners up with State Highway Administration, and the likelihood of that happening is pretty much zero, from my understanding of that. If you would like to put a banner on across publicly owned streets, you would have to gain permission, which we just changed this in the new code, from the town manager. It would be easier than having to take it to the Board of Commissioners every single time you want to do that. So just have to gain the permission of the town manager. If you own your own, if they're private streets, you can basically put these street pole banners up at your discretion. You just have to get a permit through us. Any questions on the street pole banners? All right, hearing none. And they're not permitted right now, as it currently states. So, Section 170. These are signs in the commercial, B1, B2, industrial park, IP, and office research and industrial parks, ORI districts. Please turn to this section in the comparison handout. So it's going to see side by side. And Amy, you can turn this off if you want. Nope. Okay, so we're going to kind of go just down the sides here. First, we're going to do how it's currently written, and then how we're going to do it how it's proposed. So, the most important thing to realize in the current is the sign area is cumulative. I've been trying to pound this in this meeting just to try to get that in your head, that it's cumulative. So, if you are maxed out in your square footage, you're not allowed to have other signs such as temporary. So temporary signs, they can have a maximum square footage of 32 and maximum height of 8. Identification of public and nonprofit organizations, max area 50 max height of 8. Individual business, max area of 50, height 8. Shopping center identification signs, again, 50 and 8. Individual stores, they have a maximum area of 25, and they cannot be attached, or they cannot be a freestanding sign. They have to be attached only. Industrial parks, again, 50 and 8 for everything. So basically the maximum you can have is 50 square feet in total. So going to the proposed. So permitted signage. So as you can see, there's a plus sign after every single word here. So exempt signs, you can have whatever the maximum is in that section, in addition to the limited duration signs, plus, so you can have that in addition to the temporary signs, plus portable signs, plus street pole banners. You can have off-premise signs. So if you want to take advantage of US 15 and you have a deal with the property owner, you can have a billboard out there if you'd like, and that would not go against your cumulative square footage. On-premise signs. So most importantly, the wall and awning and canopy signs. You can have a maximum of 1 wall per tenant per street frontage, 2 per tenant. Awning signs, you'd have to see that particular section, but you can have 1 on every window. Maximum area, so instead of having a maximum area of 50 square feet, it's based on a calculation of 1.5 square feet per linear foot of building frontage facing a public street or parking lot. This is subject to the maximum size based on sign type. So say you have a 200-foot long building, we're not going to give you 1.5 square feet times 200. That would just be a little ridiculous of the size of a sign. So we want it to kind of look good on your building and still give you the visibility that you need. So for an example, even if you have a 200 square foot or 200 long building, you would be subject to individual size. So for walls, you can have a maximum of 32 square feet on your building, and a maximum height of the eave line. For projecting, which we've already discussed with Mr. Slaughter's question, you can have 1 per ground floor establishment plus 1 per building entrance serving tenants without a ground floor. Again, this is based on that formula of 1.5 square feet per linear feet of building frontage. And this is a lot of information, so if you want to sit down with me individually, I've sat down with a couple businesses so far and discuss and see what your maximums are. I can do that. Maximum of individual is 20 square feet. And the eave line is the height. Window signs, there's no maximum number. However, there's a maximum square footage. For individual, it's 25. You can only have 25% of your windows covered, and for permanent, and 35% for all other signs. So you could have the window signs with your decals, and you could have such as a window sign that's like a wooden sign connected to your window. For freestanding signs, you can have 1 per street frontage up to 2 per lot. Individual signs are allowed for gas stations and drive-throughs. There's no maximum square footage for total, and there's a 50 square foot maximum for individual, and they can have a height of 10 feet. We still got a couple more things. Upper level building identifications. So these are for your really big buildings, such as your Emmitsburg Glass and the really large buildings. Maximum number 1 per building if you have greater than or equal to 3 stories high. Max area square footage is 50, and max height is the eave line. And that is everything that I have. So I know that's a lot of information, a lot of numbers. Maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, but again, I'm here for you to help you figure out your calculations, and we think this is a fair way to have signs in town. So are there any questions, comments, concerns? I know it's a lot of information thrown at you at once. This will be our last meeting, and we hope to see you at our Board of Commissioners meeting. Questions, comments? Mr. Slaughter?
Wayne Slaughter, EBPA. First of all, I just want to thank Zach and everybody involved in this. It's done an outstanding job of pulling this information together. I think this is the 4th one of these educational sessions that you've had. a lot of information. Clearly, it's very complicated, but Zach has worked meticulously through this and done an excellent job of getting this information out to everybody. We would really like businesses to express any concerns they have. At this point, we feel very confident that this is a business-friendly ordinance and that this is in the best interest of the community today and going forward. And if you have any concerns, Zach is very clearly interested and would like to be able to work with you on that. So please take advantage of this opportunity. My experience of working with Zach is he does an outstanding job and he's very methodical. I'm sure he can address all of your concerns. So that said, the EBPA stands behind this ordinance and we do strongly support it, and we're looking forward to working with you on this.
Thank you, Mr. Slaughter. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.